Thanks for taking seats at the table. I've been a seeker most of my life. I've checked out a true variety of worship services and spiritual gatherings. I've taken classes, I've studied with teachers and listened attentively to mentors. I've read books and found people to have deep conversations with, and others who are put off by my desire to have so many deep conversations. When I left my religion of origin, which was not an easy nor lighthearted decision to make, and set out on my own personal chautauqua, as it were, I wanted to find the right community, or communities even, that had similar values to mine, that could give me the space and time to grapple with the big questions, while also feeling safe and supported. Anybody else share an experience like that? So, okay. I imagine that many of us here today have similar seeker's journeys stories. Now, you've heard some of my history before, so you know that my journey landed me right here at Fourth U many years ago. And that after years of trying to find the right place, I found this place. And while I had encountered Unitarian Universalism many years prior to that, I didn't really get it until I got here. Finding a spiritual match is such an important part of our life's work. I think of how many people I encounter who are spiritually untethered, and how many aren't even interested in finding something. They just don't see the need. Thanks to the nature of my work as a community minister and a minister hiding in plain sight as a professor, I love being the person who invites others into spiritual exploration, opening dialogues on the importance of finding your true north or your core values, or if we're really lucky, a spiritual home. Now more than ever, I think we all need to have that home, that grounding and support. The state of the world, atrocities upon fear, upon uncertainty, can only be managed if we have some kind of spiritual grounding. We need to find our people. We need to know. Sorry. I got lost, so we need to find our people, right? Okay. We need to know what our convictions are. We need to know what we won't tolerate. We need to name our core values and use them to guide our work in the world. A colleague and I were talking about this a few months ago, and I decided to do this activity to find my core values. And I was amazed at how quickly I could name them. They were right there, and honestly, they'd been there for years. I just needed to write them down so I would remember them every day, so I could stay the course on what I feel called to do. For any new venture, or during any time of transition, taking the time to identify our values is so important. And we want to do that with all of you together. Hence, the tables and the art supplies. Now, I'm going to repeat the last stanza from John O'Donoghue's poem, because I want you to keep that in mind while we're doing this. Awaken your spirit to adventure. Hold nothing back. Learn to find ease in risk. Soon you will be home in a new rhythm, for your soul senses the world that awaits you. And with his words in mind, we invite you into this time of multi-generational activity. An activity that's going to ask you, or is asking you, to be honest, humble, and self-reflective. Ask yourselves what values brought you to Fourth U, and what values guide you in your path as a Unitarian Universalist. Now, you don't have to pull these out of thin air, because on your desk you'll see a stack of cards that have words on them. They're supposed to get you started. Of course, you can also take the colored paper and tear and write your own, but we were envisioning that everyone could look at the words and choose 2 or 3 that deeply resonate with you as a Unitarian Universalist, and then take turns sharing them with the group. We're going to allow for this beautiful cacophony in a moment. I want to make sure that everyone shares, including the kiddos. So if they need help with the cards, be sure to help them. And for our friends online, any moment now, maybe happening as we speak, a slide with those same words will be projected, and we ask you to drop your 2 or 3 words into the chat, and then we're going to put them in a document that will be shared in a little bit. So take your time in the process, like you can maybe read each one and grab the 3 that resonate most for you, and then share them with each other, and then we're going to have part 2 in a little bit. Enjoy. If you have questions, raise your hand and I'll come on down.
I haven't stood here in so long, I just have to look at you. We've talked about how each of us came here to Fourth U. But how did Fourth U, how did Unitarianism, how did Universalism come to be? What is our history? And now what? Louis Fisher is known for his motivating words, "We don't stand, we move." And we do, except when we don't. Now, the language has changed. We recognize the word stand as ableist, and we think that what Fisher really meant was our values, what we hold so deeply that we will not change, that we will carry with us into the future, that will move with us, except when we don't. Grimes and Cooney, in their book Through the Lens of Whiteness, said, "Our commitment to religious freedom, our openness to new ideas, our insistence that religion should live in the present and not in the past, our healthy theological pluralism." I love that. All of these, the very theology that makes us liberal means that our collective religious identity will inevitably be difficult to pin down at any particular moment in history. Yet there are times when the opposite is true, when the realities are so daunting that we freeze up. Playing out Dean Fisher's aphorism in reverse, we don't move, we stand. Well, we don't move, we freeze. We don't move, we don't know what to do next until we come together in community. Religion is changing in the 21st century. The 21st century has given us a plague, war, increasing expressions of hatred and resulting violence, and technology that brings it all to our information so fast that we're not really sure if there's more and more, or if we're just finding out faster. I think it's both. And that makes context, fact-checking, verification, and doing our due diligence is really critical. Religion, even our liberal faith tradition, must not only live in the present, it must point the way to the future. There are efforts in discussion, and you know what I'm talking about, and points of contention among UUs that pull us in different directions. Forrest Church, minister at All Souls at that time, said to his people after 9/11, "And I bring to you today, I'm so grateful to see each and every one of you how profoundly we need each other, especially now, but more than just now. We are not human beings because we think. We are human beings because we care. Oh, and all true meaning is shared meaning. The only thing that can never be taken away from us is the love that we give away. Our circumstances in this time include a wider horizon, and yet the call to action is the same. What is the love that you give away? I've always thought that if you really want to know what people believe, look at what they teach their children. We teach our children about justice, equity, about pluralism, interdependence, and generosity. We teach our children about the transformative power of love. We teach our children to give love away and how to do that, not by demanding that they do what we do, but by example, by living into and out of our own beliefs and offering the possibility of growth and change. One of our great leaders 2 centuries ago, William Ellery Channing, said that religious education is not here to stamp our minds on the young, but to stir up their own. In this era of great change, what are we stirring up in our young people? What do each of us bring to the table that is unique? What shines out of your heart and out of your eyes that you send into the future? In short, what is your superpower? Now, Reverend Leonisa gave you a framework for expressing this. See what happens when you tell each other, what is your superpower? And share. We'll be back in a few.
Thank you, Reverend Leonisa, and thank you all for engaging on this journey with us of trying to figure out what our core values are and making sure that, as the great hymnal says, ours is a living tradition, right? And I was reminded by my seminary professor that traditions live in and through its own creative transformation, meaning that a tradition that does not change is a dead tradition. And so I invite us, each and every single one of us, as we go through our days in the future together, to not view these pieces of paper as just words on a piece of paper, but rather, this one says, making a difference, that you actually live into it, that it becomes an experiential and embodied part of who you are, so that they no longer exist as words and notions and pieces of paper, but a lived reality. And I pray that as you go through the next few months, there's gonna be lots of changes coming up, right? Keep on to those values, hang on to them. Let them be an anchor for you. And look around your table. These are the folks who are gonna still be your companions as you journey through all these changes in your lives. May it be so.
And so, dear ones, as we face the future, this is hard. Let us remember, yikes. Let us remember how we got here. The estimable Francis David, a Unitarian who was a king, told us that we need not think alike to love alike. And here at Fourth U, we frequently say that it's important for us to believe differently together. And then there was John Murray, a Universalist preacher who said, "Give them not hell, but hope." The principle of those who founded in the Universalist tradition, the organization that became Fourth U. We've already heard from Louis Fisher this morning and also from Forest Church, and we've heard also from each other. There is our future. This is what we teach our children and how we model hope and love for our future. We leave each other today with that bond among us, the bond that is ultimately all about light and all about love. Take your light out into this world, dear ones, and let it shine. The world needs you. May it always be so in this and in all worlds. Salam, shalom, namaste, amen, amen, and blessed peace.